You're listening to Last Word Radio, where you get the last word.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. This is February the 28th, 2018. With you today is myself, Carl, and the always wonderful Joel. We are back. Trade deadline is behind us. All of those trades are old news. Sure, we're recording this episode immediately after the Monday episode. This is different, Joel. We're moving on from the trades. We're looking forward into the future. What is next?
It's true. So if anything happens between now and Wednesday, this is why we're not talking about it.
Yeah, if there's a big injury, there's not going to be any big trades, though. A big suspension or a pending suspension. There's no big suspensions, let's be honest.
Jerome Iginla signing.
Yeah, but we talk about things that are actually news on this show, Joel. Jerome Iginla signing a contract will not be a relevant piece of news.
Ouch. What if he signs with the Flames?
Just a victory lap is not news. It's not news outside of Calgary.
That's where he should. If he does sign, though, that's where he should.
You fooled me once with Jaromir Jagr coming to Calgary, and I was like, man, old guys are going to be great. Nope. It's not good. All these guys, like Brian Giunta signing with the Bruins. It's not good.
Chris Kelly with Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah, like, come on. All these guys, no. Not
That's the reason why they weren't signed.
Exactly. Joel, before we get into the show, let's remind everyone about the folks over at ATB Financial. They are the supporting sponsor of the Alberta Podcast Network and this show. What we want to let you know is that if you head over to atb.com/listens, you can find out all the ways that ATB can help you out. If you're looking for investing or a mortgage or other banky terms, they've got your back. So head over to atb.com/listens, atb.com/listens. Tell them how they can help you.
Carl, you know what's in Alberta?
Lots of things. Me and you?
Yeah, Calgary.
Your mom who called you on the last episode?
It's true. Calgary's here, though.
That's accurate.
I heard that you can go to hockey games in Calgary.
Yeah, you can. They sell tickets. You can go just over there.
I haven't been to one yet.
We'll fix that.
Yeah, maybe next year. Or maybe at the end of this year when no one wants to go to Flames games.
That's exactly when we're going to go.
Oh, no. They're in the playoff spot right now. I heard you went to a game, though.
I did, yeah. I was really trying to... I should have... Yeah, I did. It was terrible... You
didn't want to talk about it, did you?
I really didn't. No. My Colorado Avalanche came into town. I was like, man, I'm going to go to the game, put on my Joe Sakic jersey, convince my wife to don Avalanche jersey, which is like, it didn't take a lot of convincing because when we go to games, no matter who's there, we cheer against the Flames. It's just, that's how we roll. So she was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll wear your Avalanche jersey. I'm cheering for them anyways. So plus she's actually a Habs fan. So putting on an Avalanche jersey was an improvement for her this season. So yeah, went over there, was excited, got there early, caught warm-ups. Was like, man, my team, it's gonna be so fun. Nathan McKinnon looking great. 18 seconds into the game, Joel. 18 seconds.
The Flames didn't look back.
Yeah. It was a very, very disappointing performance from the team in general. Semyon Varlamov looking mediocre at best. His entire glove side, the Flames were like, oh, he let in a weak one right off the bat there, and they just shot on that side the entire game. They were just flying down the right side. If you look at it like the heat maps where they take their shots, they were all from the right side, which is they saw a problem and they took advantage of it. So yeah, 5-1, my Avalanche lost. It was the worst loss I have ever seen my team give. It was incredibly disappointing. I miss Eric Johnson. I really want him back. He's not even skating yet, so that's going to be sad. I thought Nathan McKinnon's back. This is going to go great. And then Eric Johnson gets hurt in a loss to the Oilers. Then we go into Vancouver and we need 5 power play goals to win the game. Everyone's all excited about this giant comeback we had. And it took 5 power play goals, Joel. 5. Here's what is impressive.
Carl, just wait. Before you go into this, should we just do it?
Joel, our entire first power play unit scored a goal, which is impressive. But if you do that, you shouldn't just barely win. It's ridiculous. This team's terrible.
Let's just do it, Carl. Let's just do it. Cue the music.
What music?
Elimination Station.
Joel.
It's over. It's over.
You're right. As much as I don't want the Colorado Avalanche to be in the elimination station, they are. Like, this team, sure, they're not terrible. They've lasted all this way. Last year, they would have been the first team out, and we would have been like, yup, they have so many things that they need to fix next year. So I'm okay, but I'm also not.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Like, it's just, I don't know.
So
they're gonna miss the playoffs, but they're gonna finish. And a lot of people are gonna be very disappointed of the fact. And there's been Avalanche fans all year who are like, well, even during the 10-game win streak, there was people who were saying, well, it's not good. We don't want to win because we're not gonna get Rasmus Dahlin. And I'm like, who cares? You're like, the odds of getting him are so small. We finished last year. We didn't win the lottery. We picked 4th overall last year. Finishing worst does not get you anything. So I am very content. They gave me some hope. They gave me some wins. Sure, I might sound angry right now, but deep down inside, this team brought me joy this year.
Well, that's good. I am a little surprised they didn't maybe try and unload like a Blake Como or a Carl Soderberg.
I'm a little surprised, like especially Como. He wouldn't have cost a lot. He would have been a solid pickup. He plays some pretty good PK.
But the thing is there's not a whole lot you do with this team.
And I'm okay with that. This is not, you don't need to blow this team up. This is what we talk about every time we hit the elimination station. What happens next with this team? Here's what you do with this team. You sign Cale Maker, bring him in. He hasn't signed his entry-level deal yet, which is fine. He's been playing college. That's a typical thing. The biggest problem that this team's going to have into the future is figuring out what to do in net. That's a problem a lot of teams have. Semyon Varlamov next year is the last year of his contract. And as I displayed earlier, I don't really trust him anymore.
I don't think he's as good as you need him to be.
He's not. He has moments of greatness and he has moments of terribleness. There's very little in between with him.
So you maybe try and get a goalie in the offseason?
Yeah, if we can go out and pick up a goaltender, I would not be sad. I would also not be sad if they went out and made a move for a defenseman.
You go get a guy like Calvin Pickard.
Those you can't just find guys like Calvin Pickard, Joel.
Yeah, I don't know. As much as I feel bad that we're eliminating them, I think you're right, though. You're just like, okay, well, there's always next year. Let's see how we improve. They have tons of cap space. If they actually wanted to spend money, they could be like a really great team.
Yeah, like if they're right there. And like there's some teams worse. My bandwagon team is worse than they are right now, but with the teams that they need to catch in the wild card, the West wild card is currently sitting at 73 points. They're 4 points back with 2 games in hand, which you could say, those are 2 games that they could easily win. But with Eric Johnson gone, this team has been steadily declining ever since that. You have to think, they won 10 games in a row. The last stretch, they are 4-5-1 in their last 10 games. That is not what you need to get into a playoff spot.
+2 goal differential.
Yeah.
It's not what you want.
Which is, a +2 goal differential is great. I think I assume next week that my bandwagon team's going to get put in the elimination station. But again, they're only sitting 3 points back of the playoff spot. So we're getting to the point where teams that are fringe playoff teams are getting eliminated, which means we are getting very close to actual playoff hockey.
It's true. So.
I got excited for playoff hockey. Sitting there watching your Toronto Maple Leafs playing the Boston Bruins, I was like, man, I'm ready. Let's do this now. Stop the regular season. Let's just go.
What? Are you good? Can we go? Can we move on, or do you want to hang here for a bit more, or is that? Because I don't want to take this away from you, but I felt like you got some good rant. You had a great rant on the first show this week.
Well, get me talking about facial hair, and I'll show you some fired up. For those, just a sneak peek. Maybe we'll go to it now, but we do have a guest coming up later in the show. We do have Art Middleton. He is the managing editor of Jets Nation. He's going to come on. Jets made a lot of big moves this week. We want to talk with him about what to look for into the rest of the season with the Winnipeg Jets.
Do you want to go there now?
Do you want to? Let's do that now. Sure.
Let's do it.
Let's go talk to Art. Welcome back, everyone. We are very excited to have with us today Art Middleton, managing editor of Jets Nation. Art, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, big day. We are recording this on trade deadline day, a day where, when you woke up this morning, did you think the Jets would be making a move for a number 2 center?
Not a number 2 center. I didn't even know if they'd make a move, and I was kind of fine if they didn't. This team's been pretty good all season. And there had been kind of some talk, like, is it really worth it to give up any assets? So when I woke up this morning, I had heard that they were kind of in the market for defensemen. I know that they were hoping for that, a little bit of insurance on the left D. But other than that, I don't think they, I know they had some stuff working, and I know they had been on the Brassard thing, but it was still surreal to consider the Jets buyers. This is still kind of new for Jets fans overall, that we're not only buyers, but we're serious buyers, like cup contending buyers, not trying to just squeak into playoffs buying mode. So I don't think Jets fans quite knew what to get. And then, getting Stastny is, I think, kind of blowing everyone's mind a little bit.
Yeah. So from what it seems like, he'll be sliding in between Laine and Ehlers. Is that correct?
Yeah, they right now it sure seems like it'll be third line with Laine and Ehlers, which that's got to be the best third line in hockey. Maybe Pittsburgh can rival it, but you have 220 goal scorers on either side, and then up the middle with Stastny, you have a guy that's about to hit 30 assists again. So it'll be hard to say. I think Maurice might tinker around too. He might throw him on the second line. Maybe between Pro and Roslovic, we'll see. I think Maurice over the next few day games and the next couple of weeks is going to kind of juggle a little bit. That first line's set in stone, but I think he's going to tinker around with the second and third lines, and then maybe once Lowry comes back mid-March, then we'll see more of a solidification of the lines.
Well, and so you talked about the fact that you were okay with where this team was and adding a big piece, obviously the most surprising piece, I would say, of the deadline to this roster. Does this change your expectations going into the playoffs? Do you think that the Jets are that much more ready to make a push, or is it pretty much just a little bit better?
It's a little bit better. I think fans. It's weird. You're still talking about a team that hasn't won a playoff game ever. Dating back to the Atlanta days. So, Jets fans right now are in this weird place where this is a really good team, but there's been no history of any success. Even during the playoff run against Anaheim, they were swept in 4 straight. So, that all said, I think there is an expectation that this team should, at least one playoff round win. If they don't get to the Western Final, I think there'd be a bit of a disappointment. I think this team is a team. Nashville's really good. They've loaded up, obviously, today, and I'm sure you've talked about that. But, Nashville and Winnipeg, and I really don't see anyone else in that division challenging them. So Nashville will be a tough out to get past, but if they get past them, then yeah, I don't see why a Western final can't be at the very least possible for this team.
Well, and definitely, it will be very exciting. I think we saw the crowds in the playoffs last year. To see what the crowds will be like now when you have a team that you should be able to win to experience that first win, that'll be quite the scene in Winnipeg.
Oh, absolutely. And, I think fans are starting to really, truly get into it. I know with Jets Nation, we've had a moniker the entire season of Believe in the Jets. And I've kind of seen it firsthand. Just, at the start of the season, it was a little bit, okay, well, maybe this team's good. And, over the last month and a half, especially with the Shifley injury and how they got through that, they're getting through the Trouba injury now. That that's your number one center and that's the number one defenseman. And this team keeps clicking. So I think fans or Jets fans even the jaded fans were kind of like, okay, there's something to this team. And playoffs should be excellent. And then I do look forward to a playoff series against Nashville because their crowds always bring it. And I think both fan bases would just feed off each other. It could be pretty crazy. Yeah,
that would be quite the series to see. So the big trade, we'll touch on the second trade that was made at the deadline, but the big trade, a first, a fourth, and Eric Foley. For those who don't know, what is Eric Foley to the St. Louis Blues now?
Eric Foley is a great prospect for them. He's been playing really well in Providence this year. And I told him I get this wrong here. Third round pick, I believe, from the Jets from a couple of years ago. That was the 2015 draft class for Winnipeg, and it was such a good draft class. It was Kyle Connor. They got Roslovic in that draft. Jansen Harkins is playing pretty well. Eric Foley is he's a great forward, and he was just a surplus for the Jets. The Jets had a series of them, and then I was surprised. I was a little surprised it was Foley. I thought the Blues might hold out for someone like an Appleton or a Spacek, a player who's maybe in the AHL. Foley hasn't really proven himself in the AHL yet or in a pro level yet. He's tearing up the NCAA. But and there's no reason to believe that he won't come into the AHL next year for St. Louis and do well. If they do sign him, I guess I have to preface that they have his rights. He hasn't actually been signed yet. But if the Blues can get him, he's a fantastic kid, and he projects as a good middle six player for the future. So
yeah, a good piece to go along with what I understand is a 2018 first-round draft pick. So the first-round pick the Jets have this upcoming draft.
Yeah, the first-round draft pick that the Jets have, the interesting thing, and I absolutely love this, is it's lottery protected. I believe if the pick ends up if the Jets were to miss the playoffs and win the lottery, which would be the first, second, or third pick, then that pick would revert back to Winnipeg. Obviously, that ain't going to happen. The Jets are going to make the playoffs. They are going to win the lottery even if they miss the playoffs. But it's so great that Kevin Cheveldayoff at this point still doesn't want this team to fully buy in that the playoffs are a guarantee. There's still a feeling of unresolved. There's still work to be done with this team. But yeah, no, I've seen some people say it's an overpay. It is a little bit of an overpay for a player who, Stastny's a UFA at the summer. I don't know if the Jets will retain him this summer. They have a lot of cap considerations coming up. But you know what? At this case, like I said, Foley was kind of a surplus, so they had some room for prospects to maybe spare one. And this team drafts well, so the first round pick will be in the 20s somewhere. The other pick that they got was a fourth round conditional, I believe, for next year, 2020, I believe, or something like that. And so yeah, no, the Jets did play a little bit of much, but and the Blues got a good haul, but at this point it just sends a signal that the Jets are in it this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I honestly started thinking, I was like, well, what would it take for the Jets to finish in the lottery, right? You'd have to miss the playoffs. And I was like, well, what would it take for them to miss the playoffs? They already proved that they can survive without Shifley. They've already proven that they can survive without Trouba. I don't want to jinx it, but it would be terrifying to see what it would take for this Jets team to miss the playoffs.
It would be a collapse of epic proportions that I don't think any sport has ever seen. In that way, it's not going to happen. But it just speaks volumes of, the attitude that the Jets have. And Blake Wheeler came out, I believe, about a week and a half ago after a game, and he basically came out and said, we haven't clinched the playoffs yet. People are talking about us being contenders. We haven't clinched anything. And that's kind of their attitude is, they haven't earned anything. And I've had people ask me, how come this team doesn't have the same attitude that, say, Nashville has, where, the Predators kind of have a swagger to them. They know that they're a good team and they're playoff bound and they have a level of expectation. In Nashville, it's quite simple. The Jets just feel they haven't earned anything yet because they haven't earned anything yet. So that little bit of a chip on the shoulder, sometimes that's all a team needs just to kind of get them over. And they'll probably carry that chip through the playoffs every single round. Even if they look good, they'll probably still have a bit of an underdog, us against the world type theme to them.
Absolutely, yeah. So the one other pickup that they did make at the trade deadline, Joe Morrow coming over from Montreal for a 4th round pick. Obviously, with the current injury to Jacob Trouba, that's a healthy addition. I guess, how does he fit in once Trouba's back? And what would you say the current timeline looks like for Trouba to return?
Well, Trouba actually got on the ice for the first time since his injury. It's been about 4 weeks. He was supposed to be out 6 to 8. So I don't think the Jets are going to rush him back anytime soon. He should still be kind of mid-March by the time he gets back. Yeah, Joe Morrow is kind of interesting. Tucker Poolman's been, a fantastic rookie for the Jets, but he's been sitting in the press box, and I'm totally sure why. I think he's a little bit better than Ben Sherratt, but it is what it is. Maurice has been playing Sherratt kind of in place of Trouba, or with the hole that Trouba's left. I think when Trouba returns, you'll see Sherratt go back in the press box. They've already sent Poolman back to Manitoba. He'll play out the rest of the season there, and then Joe Morrow will be obviously press box duty. But Joe Morrow is also kind of the type of player that he can come in if there's another injury, say to an Enstrom or any of the defensemen. Joe Morrow can come in and do a decent job. He's not flashy by any means. He's a good skater. He's not greatest in his own end. But, with the offense that the Jets have, maybe they don't need someone to be a defensive stalwart. Maybe they just need someone to get them the puck. And I think Joe Moore could do that if called upon. So he'll enjoy the press box popcorn and enjoy the ride. But, he's more of an emergency call-up, and he just allows the Jets to put Tucker Poolman back in Manitoba for the Moose playoff run as well.
Well, and absolutely, as you look into the playoffs, for the Jets themselves, you never know what kind of injuries happen. So having, a good 7-8 defenseman is never anything anyone's been sad about.
Oh, right, exactly. And you know what? Joe Morrow last season with the Bruins actually did prove that. He came into 5 games, played fairly well. I think in a couple of those games he actually played 20 minutes a game. He had 20 minutes of ice time for a couple of those games with the Bruins. So Joe Morrow has proven that he can come off the press box and fill in quite well. And that's exactly what the Jets need at this point.
Yeah, so lots of injuries have kind of hit the Jets this year of big names. Steve Mason, big goaltending acquisition in the offseason, currently sidelined. And this one seems a little bit more questionable of when he will be back. Luckily, not really needed. Any idea when he will be returning?
I think they've been kind of cautious with him. I know they've been having him on the ice for different sessions. I think he's trying out a couple of different masks. That seems to be the word that he was trying out a couple of different masks to help him adjust, I guess. I'm not quite sure what the full story is there. They're not going to rush him. Are obviously confident with Hellebuck, and they feel that he's got a decent workload. And Hutchison's returned from his injury, so I think the only thing that they would rush back is they'd probably like to get Hutchison back for the AHL playoff run. But yeah, no, they won't rush Mason back. Mason could be a mid-March thing too, but we'll have to see. The next couple weeks, we'll have to see what the next couple weeks bring. But yeah, I think mid-March probably for Mason.
So we've gotten here. We've talked Jets playoff run, and into the rest of the season, they're pretty much, as you said, like it would be a monumental collapse. So what can we expect in the playoffs. What is your prediction? Do you feel confident enough to make a call on how far this Jets team is ready to go? Because we haven't seen these guys. We haven't seen a lot of them, and there's always that team that, I don't even know. Like, I want to call them a Cinderella team because they haven't been here. There's so many young guys, but they've also been really good this season. I don't know what role they hold.
And that's really the struggle that Jets fans have too. Like I said, this is a franchise that's never won a playoff game, so it's really hard to sit here and say, "Oh yeah, no, they're absolutely this or they're absolutely that," because on paper and how they played this season, they look absolutely phenomenal. But then you look at their past history, and there's nothing in their history to suggest that, And there's been some players that were part of that playoff series against Anaheim. Bufflin was there, Wheeler was there, Little was there. I think a first-round playoff victory is definitely possible, especially if they play a team like Dallas. I like them matching up against Dallas. I like them matching up against Minnesota. I absolutely like them against St. Louis now, the way St. Louis has been playing the least recently. I think where it gets a little fuzzy is, how they would match up against a Nashville if they so happen to meet Nashville in the next round. And then if I think the only team that would pose problems for them in a possible West final, I think maybe Vegas would give them a trouble, because Vegas seems to be a more of a good, fast forechecking team, and the Jets have struggled with that a little bit. So that would pose a threat. But if Nashville and Vegas, if they get past those two teams, then I don't see this team, having too many troubles getting to a cup final. If that's what if they, barring injury, barring any major setbacks, this is a team that could possibly get to a cup final.
There you go. You heard it here first. I don't see much problem with this Jets team making it to the cup final. It's official.
That sounds almost a little too cocky, but like I said, it's hard to say with this team. But it's just adding Stastny today is just that third line. Like I said, you have two 20-goal scorers and Stastny in the middle, and then and then once Adam Lowry comes back, you have a shutdown fourth line. Paul Maurice can just basically roll his lines. He doesn't even have to line match anymore, really, if he doesn't want to. So it's hard not to be excited about this team, but it is Winnipeg. It's Winnipeg sports. We always have that. We're always braced for a little bit of disappointment at the back of our heads.
We will see come playoff time. It'll be very exciting to see the Winnipeg Jets back in the playoffs again. Art, thank you very much for taking time to stop by, chat with us today. You can find Art on Twitter at GameTimeArt, and obviously over at Jets Nation, where you can find everything Jets. If you want to know more about the Winnipeg Jets and find out great content over there, you can find that. Thank you very much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Joel. Thanks a lot for Art for coming on. Let's see what the Jets can do. Lots of potential there, and this is a team that hasn't been there before. What do you think? You mentioned on the Monday show that today we would talk about Cup favorites.
Well, who do we think's going to win?
Right, our favorite, your favorite. Who is your favorite to win the Stanley Cup?
I don't know. There's a lot of teams, I have this sneaking suspicion just that Tampa's just not going to do it.
We have heard that take from you before. So let's go through, let's help you then, Joel. Let's go through teams. I assume that if you're not currently in a playoff spot, you're probably not one of our favorites. Is that a safe assumption?
Yeah.
So let's go through this then. Me and you will go through and just start at the bottom, work our way up, and say, is this a cup favorite? Because then we can do a little process of elimination. So right now, one wild card in the East is currently New Jersey Devils, Columbus Blue Jackets. Are either of those your cup favorite?
No.
Me either. And this, maybe, there's a chance. All right. Atlantic Division, Tampa, Toronto, Boston. Could any of those be your cup favorite?
If I actually had to choose one of those, I might say Boston.
All right. We'll just leave it at that. I'm putting all three of those on my potentials list.
Oh, I can't talk. We all know that I can't talk like competently about the Leafs. So
all right.
I can't. I'm not choosing them just because I can't.
Right. Absolutely. Metro Division: Washington, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. Any of those going on your list?
Oh, you get the what? How many cups in a row has Pittsburgh won?
2.
Yeah, I think you got to keep them on this potential list, right?
Oh yeah, they're on mine. What about Washington?
No.
Philly?
This might be the year because no one's talking about them. Is that like? Because isn't that kind of how it works in sports?
Yeah, which is weird because they're still winning that division. Like,
but yet they're not like running away with the league like they have.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So I don't know. Are they on your list? Or
I don't think I'm going to choose them, but you can keep them there.
All right. I don't have them on mine. So Joel, your list in the East, you have the Boston Bruins and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Those are the only 2 teams that you have to pick from. Which one of those are you sending to the Cup?
It's probably Pittsburgh.
Probably is.
Who's going to beat them?
The only thing that's going to slow this team down is the health of Matt Murray.
Yeah, that's the problem right now. Can I put an asterisk there saying it's Pittsburgh if there's a healthy Matt Murray?
You 100% can. Can I share your asterisks?
Yeah, we can. Okay. We can have a double asterisk.
All right. So Joel is asterixing Pittsburgh. We're both going to take them. If Matt Murray's not healthy, the only choice you have left is Boston.
Yeah, and I don't feel good about doing that.
I have to pick the rest of the Atlantic Division. I have Tampa, Toronto, and Boston. Of those teams, I'm going to take Tampa. We've seen this. Pardon?
Figures.
Just so bitter. It's fine, Joel. You'll see your time. I would probably take, in a 7-game series. Yeah, I would take, because Toronto Boston is pretty much locked. It's not pretty much locked up. There's only 4 points between you and Tampa. You could finish first. But yeah, I think in the likely Toronto Boston first round series, I would take Toronto. So, but I'm going Tampa. They've got a lot of strong pieces. Kucherov is better than he was the last go around, and you've got Stamkos, you've got Vasilevsky, who's looking great. You've got Ryan McDonough and JT Miller now. It's not a juggernaut of a team, but it's a very, very good team. So they are my second pick to make the Stanley Cup final.
So let's go to the West. I'm assuming we're cutting Dallas, Calgary. Neither of us are taking them.
Correct.
So, and I'm going to take out Minnesota. No,
okay.
And Anaheim. You're not choosing a team with a minus goal differential. Let me tell you, they're not winning the Stanley Cup.
I will let you tell me.
So Nashville, Winnipeg, Vegas, San Jose. I'm not taking Vegas.
Okay, Joel's lists are much shorter than mine are. Well, so you've got San Jose as the only team in the Pacific left to possibly choose. Are you putting them on your short list?
Are you shortlisting any of the other two?
I'm not going to shortlist Minnesota because I don't like them, and I just don't think that they're going to do it. Yeah, I don't really want to shortlist. Yeah, I would shortlist Vegas and San Jose.
So, based off of this conversation, I know who I think's going to win the Stanley Cup already. Now I'm ready to say.
So you don't even need a short list.
No, I'm good.
Because you've got, in the other division, we've got Nashville and Winnipeg. I will shortlist both of those teams as well. But Joel, you've already made your decision, so let's go to you.
Well, are you ready to make a decision? Or do we need to process more for you?
We can, yeah, let's help me. So Vegas, they're looking at a wild card. You know, they've got an 11-point lead. They've pretty much got that division with a win, unless Martin Jones becomes magical. Evander Kane really turns it on and pushes San Jose at that next level. I'm not thinking San Jose's catching them. Anaheim's definitely not catching them. With not Ryan Gibson, John Gibson. He's the goalie. With John Gibson, again, another
Ryan Miller.
Leader. Yeah, but
that's what you're thinking of.
Well, I was gonna say with John Gibson hurt.
Oh.
So yeah, I think Vegas has that on lockdown. So they will be playing. I like their odds against Dallas or Calgary in that first round. So yeah, I would and then against either of those teams, I would see them making it to the West Finals.
So you've got Vegas coming out of the Pacific.
So
who do you have coming out of? So who's coming out of the Central though? Are you gonna take Winnipeg or Nashville?
I think I'm taking Nashville. We saw what they could do last year. They've gotten better than they were last year. For me, I look at this team and they're good. I like them. They're fun to watch. They're got a lot of talent, good for a long time. I'm taking Nashville out of the Central.
Okay, and then who wins that series?
Like, I don't want to sit here and say that it's going to be a Nashville-Pittsburgh rematch of the Stanley Cup final.
So you're taking Vegas to the Stanley Cup final.
But I also don't want to send Vegas to the Stanley Cup final because I don't think that they could beat Nashville in 7 games. So yeah, Nashville. I'm doing it. Nashville-Pittsburgh is the one that I
think the same thing. I think Nashville's going to win this year. I think this is one of those they go the distance, don't quite get it done, but then they win this year. It's got to set like apart from. I think Tampa is more likely to make the finals than Pittsburgh, but I don't know. I just can't. I don't trust them. Like, I think they could lose to Columbus. Like, I really do. I don't know. Like, not because they should, not because they're less talented. Like, they should really sweep Columbus, and it shouldn't even be close. But I don't know. It just feels like it feels like they're just. It just feels like they've been too good for too long that they're just going to slip up or something.
Well, and this all does hinge on the asterisks, right? Like if Matt Murray is not healthy, then who knows what's going to happen.
But I'm saying if I had to choose today, I think Nashville's going to win the Stanley Cup.
There it is. You heard it here. Joel, on February 28th. That's his pick.
Going out on a limb, choosing the second best team in the West.
Taking the team that made the Cup final last year.
Yeah, it's like
super edgy.
Although I don't think that many people are talking about them. You go on Twitter today, everyone thinks Winnipeg's won it.
Winnipeg or Vegas. Everyone still loves some Golden Knights.
Yeah, whatever.
Joel.
Yo.
Like months ago, you told a story about your foot. Let's recap how we got to this point where a few episodes ago we asked for some broken bone stories. We forgot it. Then you moved into your house, so you weren't here last week. So it's probably been a month since you told the story of how we got here. Let's recap. What's your deal?
I have like a weird bone in my foot. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Or how my brother pushed me off a bunk bed and I broke my arm.
Both of those sound good. So that's how we got here.
Yeah.
Is your foot still weird?
Oh yeah, it still has. That bone's been like that for years, man.
Okay. Well,
not going anywhere.
Shout out to Joel's foot. Shout out to your brother for breaking your arm. But we asked some of our listeners to share some of their broken bone stories. We did not get a lot, but what we did get made me cringe a little bit. So let's share some of my favorites.
Deal.
All right. Start with our friend Matt. He said, again, brothers, they're the worst, right?
Mm-hmm.
His brother ran him over with a tricycle when he was 3, claiming that he thought I was gonna move. So
that's hilarious.
But here's the kicker. He flipped over onto the curve, broke his femur. He had a half body cast, was in traction, and had to learn to walk again.
I also had to learn to walk again. I broke my leg on a trampoline, and they cast it wrong.
Oh.
And so I had to go to physio when I was like 3 to learn how to walk.
That's not good. I had a buddy, Super Bowl Sunday a few years ago, went out. His dogs got out in the backyard. He went to go chase them, slipped on ice, and the gate was propped open. I guess let's preface these stories. Some of these might make you queasy. If you don't want to hear broken bone stories, skip ahead 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah. So he he fell, and like there was snow against the gate, and so he slid between the gate and the fence, and because the gate was held open by snow, broke his leg. But then, so broke his leg Super Bowl Sunday, didn't get to watch the game, went to the hospital, had surgery. The surgery did not go according to plan, got compartment syndrome in his legs, and then had to get, like, I didn't realize this because I'm not a doctor. So they just like had to, do you know what compartment syndrome is?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. They just like had to skin graft that entire part of his leg. Not good. So don't go chasing dogs in the snow. That's the lesson here. Joel's face is not happy. Let's tell more stories. All right. This one happened last year. So I don't know how old this individual was with the story. He said he got on an 18-wheeler skateboard last year, which I did not know existed. Did you know there was 18-wheel skateboards?
No.
Okay. Got at a hobby shop. So it says it had 9 wheels in the front and 9 in the back. I don't know how. I would have thought there would have been 9 on the side and 9 on the other side.
Yeah.
I have no idea how this thing works. Either way, there's 18 wheels on the skateboard. Stand in the middle of the store, just checking it out, right? Let's see what the deal is. Just stood on it for 5 seconds, fell, broke his tailbone, and had to sit on a pregnancy pillow for 7 weeks.
Ouch.
That's no good.
I fell on ice, I don't know, like last year or the year before. Fell on like my butt and back, and it was like sore for weeks.
Yeah, that's smarts for sure.
I just lied in the parking lot for like a good 10 minutes.
just moaning. Yeah. That's what I would have done.
It was like 10 o'clock at night. It was after work. There was nobody around, and I was just lying there. It was painful.
I bet.
Not as bad as it sounds like this guy on his
you didn't break anything. All right, Joel. This is a 2-parter.
This doesn't sound good. Why are we doing this? I regret everything.
Do you want to stop?
No.
Okay.
As long as you don't tell any more stories. Yours are the worst so far.
I'm done. Carrying a heavy box on the moving truck parked on the street. This could have happened last week with you. It didn't. Stepped down a level. Approximately half a meter. I thought it was 5 meters. I was like, that's a big level and a big step. Stepped down, stepped on a vacuum hose that someone had dropped. People inside the house heard it break. Pain was so intense he saw electricity. So I guess he must have rolled an ankle? I think he rolled an ankle.
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going.
Almost 2 years later, he had surgical screws inserted, and he's currently in recovery.
Brutal.
This next one sounds much worse. I'm not even going to tell this next one. This one involves blood.
No, do it. You got to do it.
All right. Years before, he's carrying a 35-inch TV, and this was before there was flat screen. So this is a 35-inch projection TV. That's big and heavy. There was a step in the middle of the sidewalk that he didn't see. He kicked the step, and the entire weight, about 70 kilograms, came down on the last bone in his left ring finger, turning the bones to fragments and dust. And this is where it gets gross. Skip ahead if you don't want to hear this. Doctor put a white-hot poker through the fingernail, and blood shot.
Oh.
Now, I sympathize with him. We built a little wooden blind that we were going to go put out in the woods.
Like a hunting blind.
Like a hunting blind, yeah. We built it out of plywood. And we were loading it onto the truck, and the ground below me gave way. And so then the entire weight, essentially, because it slipped, all the weight I was carrying landed on the bridge of my finger and pinned it between the truck. So I got that out. Didn't break anything, but I did end up having, because it swelled for so long, I got a cyst on my tendon, which hurt, and so they cut it off.
You're supposed to hit cysts with a hammer.
I didn't want to do that. They just cut it out.
I heard that's actually not good for you at all.
Yeah. All right, Joel, one last story. This one is broken ribs. He broke all the ribs on the right side of his body.
Oh, that sounds so painful. I've had one broken rib before.
Yeah, and everyone I've heard, I've never broken a rib, thankfully. Everyone I know who's broken a rib is like, it is incredibly painful breaking one. He broke all of them.
Oh, man, I can't imagine.
So, he has done karate for 21 years, and this was a few years back with one of his closest friends. They're sparring. He went for a hip throw, which I don't know if he threw a hip at him, like a hip check, or if he like grabbed his hip. Either way, he tried to throw him. Or someone was throwing. There was a hip involved. Anyways, the point of the story is his friend landed on him. Because he had, I guess, I still don't know. He grabbed his right arm during the toss. And he landed completely on the right side of his rib with nothing protecting him. Just arm up, straight on the ribs with a friend on top of him. So 2 people's body weight, crushed his ribs. Luckily, survived. Didn't have too much story of pain, so maybe just was toughed it out. But nonetheless, broke all of his ribs. That sounds bad. Like if you assume some guy's doing like what? That's like 300 to 400 pounds on your ribs. Not good.
Yeah, not good at all. All right, can we stop this?
Yeah.
Can we like go to high sticking or something?
Yeah. So on Monday's show, we picked our high sticking games for Tuesday and Wednesday. Today, we're going to pick the rest of them.
Okay. Thursday? You want to go with Thursday first?
That's the day. I'm gonna let you start.
Did you like Tampa and Dallas? That sounds like a good game.
Yeah, that sounds like a great game.
Okay.
Like other than that, the other good game that day breaks the Boston rule.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Boston-Pittsburgh is another game. If you want to watch Boston, that exists. Friday, March the 2nd. I would say that I would probably go with the New Jersey Devils, Carolina Hurricanes.
I knew you were going to say that.
That's like fighting for a wild card spot. It's an important game.
Are you going to choose the Stadium Series on Saturday?
Might have to. Would you? What else? Like, what else is good that day?
Nothing.
Yeah, there's Dallas, St. Louis, which like until St. Louis decided that they were out of it. You've got Philly, Tampa, but Washington, Toronto. There it is. Saturday. I forgot that was happening, by the way.
Yeah. Sunday, you want to do Columbus, San Jose?
Let's do Columbus, San Jose, sure.
Okay. Or Jersey, Vegas. Those are the other one. That's the other one.
Columbus, San Jose, let's do it.
Okay. And then Monday, let's just not.
Monday, we're not.
We're not.
That'll be the end. So, yeah, we can't do it Monday because we're going to crown a champion Monday night.
Oh, there you go.
So this is your last week of games. Joel.
Yeah.
Any lasting thoughts? Anything that you still have on your chest before we wrap up the show?
No, I'm really I just want to go after that broken bone thing.
I'm pretty sure it was your idea to talk about broken bones.
I just don't like it.
You don't? Do you not get it? Like
I don't know.
Okay. Well, you know who else doesn't get it, Joel? Our friends from I Don't Get It, another show on the Alberta Podcast Network, and they're writers, and they talk in they cover all kinds of different topics. So last week they had Andrew Tay and Sheldon Elter. Those are names that I tried not to mess up, and they run the Theater Network. And so these are guys who are out of Edmonton. They're talking a lot. They had some folks from the Alberta Ballet. They talked about that. So lots of dramatic, lots of covering the arts. If you want to know more about the arts, especially the arts in Alberta, head over to I Don't Get It YEG, aka Edmonton.com. I Don't Get It YEG.com, where you can find out more about what's happening in the arts scene in Edmonton.
I got breaking news.
What's that?
Nikita Kucherov injured.
How bad?
Not returning with an undisclosed upper body injury. And, like, it was an immediate not return, I think.
Okay, so, again, we are recording this on Monday. So if we will know
by Wednesday.
So when this comes out, you'll be like, guys, we know about Nikita Kucherov. Why haven't you talked about it? This is why. I don't think there's much analysis, though. I think if they want him, it's better that they picked up JT Miller. That's a good thing.
Yeah, but like that's like.
Oh, you can't replace. You're not replacing him.
I have not seen the hit. I have not seen anything about it other than that he's not coming back, and I don't seems pretty sudden. My guess is without actually seeing what's happened, my first initial guess would be concussion if it's that quick, right?
Yeah, that's a quick. Let me just do a quick. I'm just heading to the old Twitters.
I've been checking it as well. Yeah. Whoa. That can't be legit. I was like, Adam Schefter just broke news about Nikita Kucherov. It was not actually Adam Schefter.
Fake Adam Schefter, yeah.
Because he said torn MCL.
That's an upper body, not lower body.
Exactly. Yeah. But that would have been really bad if it was a torn MCL.
Yeah, he would have been gone for the year. So yeah, it sounds like that does sound concussion-y. An unknown injury, upper body, not returning. So we'll see. Stay tuned. You already know what's happened, but
don't stay tuned. Just be like,
yeah, Carl and Joel, we know what happened.
Anyways, you got anything else, or are we done?
No, let's wrap it up. Thanks again to Art for coming on the show this week. We will be back on Monday with another episode for you, where we will talk about all of the ways that let's hope Nikita Kucherov didn't break a bone. We don't want to have to recover more broken bone stories.
I agree.
All right. You can find us on Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast, where you can play high sticking, pick the game-winning goal scorers for every Pavel Bure must-watch game of the week, of the day. And again, we're wrapping this up, so there'll be a new slate. Next week, we'll be picking the first set for March, and that'll be the last round into the playoffs. So get ready for that. We will set that up next week. TheFourthLinePodcast.com, where you can find some great articles from some of our writers. You can find the latest about the podcast. If you want to send us an email, find us on Twitter, Facebook, TheFourthLinePodcast.com. We are there. We are everywhere that you listen to podcasts. We're a member of the Alberta Podcast Network, Grandstand Sports Network, and until next week,
Boom City.